Thank you for joining us for the Indivisible Illinois podcast series. I'm your host, Elizabeth Hess. This summer, organizations across the country are coming together for Good Trouble Lives On, Teach, Reach, Preach Weekend of Action. It's inspired by the legacy of Congressman John Lewis and his lifelong commitment to civil rights and civic engagement. Joining me today is Marci Adelston-Schafer. She's an executive board member of the Indivisible Illinois chapter to talk about the event, the importance of community action, and how residents can get involved. Marci, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Elizabeth.
For those who may not be familiar with the phrase, what does Good Trouble Lives On mean, and why is it such an important message today?
Getting into good trouble was an expression that Congressman John Lewis used to use to tell people that they need to work at helping to make things better by doing things like registering voters, getting those voters to polling places, voting to elect candidates that will work for the good of the general public, holding those elected officials accountable, and also assisting those that are down and need assistance. It means to work for the good of all. John Lewis's legacy lives in all of us working for the good of society.
And you just kind of answered this already, but Congressman John Lewis, what are we doing and what aspects of his life should we be doing in order to emulate such a great man?
Actually, what we're doing as part of this event, for the most part, our coalition is focused on educating the public about history, important issues that are shaping our lives, how to vote and how to register voters, among other things. And part of John Lewis's legacy was to educate the public about their rights and why they have them. I mean, by the way, he even wrote comic books on important issues for kids.
Agreed. I know we all know what the words teach, reach, and preach mean, but can you explain what each of those words mean in relation to that weekend's theme?
Teach. Specifically on Saturday, July 18th and Sunday, July 19th, there will be speakers at the Spurlock Museum doing teach-ins. Some of the subjects are John Lewis's legacy, or how the county clerk's office works, the Champaign County African American Heritage Trail, voting rights, and there's all sorts of other subjects. As far as reaching, we want to reach out to as much of the community in and around Champaign County as we can. There will be so many interesting things that we can learn. And as far as preaching goes, we want the public to come away from this event inspired to work for justice and democracy for all. We hope that we instill into everybody who attends and they spread the word about that.
As people are looking ahead and planning their weekend out, starts the 17th, runs through the 20th, what can we expect throughout that weekend?
Well, that's a great question, Elizabeth. I'm going to give you a rundown of the events. First, there will be resource fairs at the Champaign Public Library in rooms A and B on Friday afternoon, July 17th from 1:30 to 3:30, and on Monday evening, July 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. Now, on Saturday and Sunday, July 17th and 18th, there will be teach-ins at the Spurlock Museum. On Saturday, starting at 10:30 a.m., Reverend Terrence Thomas will be giving the keynote speech on the legacy of John Lewis. He was the 2023 to 24 John Lewis Fellow with Faith and Politics Institute. County Clerk Aaron Ammons will talk about how Champaign County does elections, how they work on election security, and the need for poll workers. And then Dr. Jeffrey Trask will talk about senior reparations. Robert Wright will talk about the African American Heritage Trail in Champaign County. And that day will end with China Figueroa Dixon speaking about how it takes a village to support survivors and families of violence victims. On Sunday, the day will start at 12:10 with the Spurlock Museum giving a tour of their current exhibit, Unfinished Revolutions, Living Stories of American Rights. Then the ACLU and the League of Women Voters will be doing a teach-in on how to register to vote, how to register voters, voting rights, and some other topics. The League of Women Voters will also be asking trivia questions. Everybody needs to bring their smartphones to play along. That day will end with the Mayor's Town Hall featuring Mayors Deshaun Williams of Urbana, Deb Finan of Champaign, and Sam Hall of Rantoul. And of course, Elizabeth, you know you will be moderating that town hall.
As you just mentioned, all of the names, this effort brings together a wide range of people, of organizations. Let's talk about some of them. I'd like to give all of them a shout out. The ACLU of Champaign County, Bend the Arc Jewish Action CU, Champaign County Indivisible, Champaign-Urbana Reparations Coalition, Champaign-Urbana Resistance Effort, or CURE, Illinois for a World Beyond War, IL Vote of Champaign County, Indivisible Illinois, Indivisible Vermilion County, League of Women Voters of Champaign County, NAACP Champaign County Branch, Sierra Club Illinois Chapter Prairie Group, Spurlock Museum of World Cultures, and Urbana-Champaign Reproductive Justice and Uniting Pride. Who put all of this in motion, and why was it so important to build such a broad coalition?
This started out with Champaign County Indivisible spearheading this project, and different groups bring different experiences and insight to the project. We started out as a tabula rasa, a clean slate. Our first meeting was merely a brainstorm session. So having all those wide range of backgrounds and focuses helped to make this a better program. And by the way, the more groups that are involved in coalitions in general, the more power we amass.
You just mentioned Indivisible Illinois. What role does Indivisible Illinois play in organizing and supporting local events like this one?
Indivisible Illinois is a statewide umbrella of all the indivisible groups in Illinois. There are currently 80 plus indivisible groups under the Indivisible Illinois umbrella. The number keeps growing. Given that, we have the opportunity to help publicize and support what local indivisible groups are doing, to build or join coalitions of other statewide groups, connect groups together for projects and events, that's indivisible groups and others, and spearhead projects that we recruit others to join in with. Indivisible Illinois is a very active coalition partner in this locally focused project, but we also co-host many local group projects by helping to publicize, and if they need us to, we will help recruit volunteers. In the statewide coalition, we have done things like connect local indivisible groups with the ACLU Illinois when they are doing town halls in that area. We are also part of a statewide coalition helping to push state legislators to pass legislation like the Rifle Act.
You mentioned volunteers, Marci, and many people want to get involved. Each of us has the ability to make a difference, but they're not sure where to begin. How can events like this help people take their first step into community engagement or advocacy?
There are so many people that say, hey, I want to do something. What can I do? Now, attending these teach-ins on July 18th and 19th and going to the resource fairs on July 17th and July 20th to find out information and to join these groups that are already doing things and really need volunteers, that would start them off in the right direction.
I feel like we say this a lot, Marci, that this coming election is the most important of our lifetime, but voter participation has become such a major topic nationwide. How does this weekend of action encourage civic engagement and democratic participation?
Well, first, if you are not registered to vote, or have moved and have not changed your voter registration, since the League of Women Voters of Champaign County will be there, they will be registering voters both at the resource fair at the Champaign Public Library and during the teach-ins at the Spurlock Museum. If you do not do anything else, you at least have to vote. Now, many voters do not know how to find out information on candidates, referenda, etc. Some of these speakers will explain how you can find out that information. We all need to be informed voters. For those who are even more gung-ho, they can learn how to register voters and what other important information they need to keep themselves well informed and have information on other topics.
Looking at the current political climate, though, and social climate, why do you believe groups like Indivisible Illinois and every group that I mentioned before, why is it so important that organizing remains at the forefront?
In this socio-political climate, grassroots organizing is more important than ever. People in this country are losing their health care. Our cost of living is going up so much that many have to decide whether to pay rent or buy groceries. I'm a delivery coordinator for a small food pantry in town. I've been volunteering with them since 2020. Of the people who use the food pantry, if they are not elderly or caregiving, they are working. They have paying jobs. In my book, if somebody's working full-time, it is heartbreaking that they need to use a food pantry because they aren't paid a living wage. Grassroots organizers can unite people together to push for better working conditions, better access to health care, increasing the minimum wage, etc. One of the best examples of this is the Poor People's Campaign. They amass power by connecting poor people, low wealth people, and allies. They amass them together. And we can amass power for many things. Changing legislation and ordinances does not happen organically. If there aren't groups to energize people fighting to change things, then the status quo stays.
One of the beautiful things about democracy is freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Not everybody agrees on every issue represented by coalition members. Is there common ground that brings everyone together?
Of course there is. There are so many things we can agree on. We want to all be able to feed and clothe and house our families. We want our kids to go to good schools. We all want to have good health care. We want to have good roads and clean water and clean air. We can all agree that we need those things and other basic needs as well.
Obviously, the weekend of action, we need people to show up. We need people to be heard. But to you, in your opinion, what does it look like at the end of it to make it a, quote, successful weekend?
I feel that this event will have been successful if there is a good attendance and that many of the attendees are inspired to do something because of what they learn and that they sign up to get involved with the group or organization because of it.
Are you still looking for volunteers? How can anybody listening to this get additional details about the program, or how can they get involved?
If they want to know anything more, since Champaign County Indivisible initiated this coalition together, there are updates that will be posted on the Champaign County Indivisible website. Specifically, the URL for this page on the website is www.champaigncountyindivisible.org/GTLO. I'll just repeat that once, www.champaigncountyindivisible.org/GTLO.
You have been a champion of phone banking, of door knocking, of lit dropping. You have done it all, but some people may have certain talents or certain fears that they may or may not want to do in any aspect. What advice do you have for new activists looking to get involved?
It's difficult not to burn out at this juncture, but there are a few key items that I would like this audience to think about. Number one, you can't do everything. You choose an issue or a group or an NGO that you feel you want to put your passion into. Do not feel bad that you are not doing the other things as well. There will be others doing those things. We all have to do our part. Number two, it makes me absolutely crazy when I hear somebody saying, I can't do anything. I'm just one person. What can only one person do? Ask Greta Thunberg that when she was 17 and sitting outside of her school to educate on climate change. Ask Darnella Frazier that when she was 17 and recording George Floyd's murder for the entire world to see. Ask Malala that when she was 15 standing up for women's rights in her country as a teenage girl. We may not be that good, but we can write letters to the editor. We can make daily calls to our elected officials. You can talk to your friends about trying to start up your own group, even in your very red area. It only takes one person to start, but you build and build and build on it. Number three, I want to impart to anybody and everybody. You may never know what impression you are making on people, for better or for worse, and I found that out myself. When I was in junior high school, girls had to take home ec and boys had to take shop. As a 13-year-old, I went to the administration to ask about boys and girls choosing whether they take shop or home ec. It did not pan out at the time, but fast forward 40 years later to my 35-year high school reunion. My husband and I were sitting with acquaintance friends of mine from high school. One of them said to my husband, some of us really admired what your wife did in junior high. And I said, I was a dork in junior high. Nobody admired me. I had no idea what she was talking about. It turns out she said that some of them got together to protest the bad food in the cafeteria. She said they got their nerve to do it because if I could go alone to protest sexism and the mandates for girls and boys, they felt as a group they could protest the cafeteria food. I reiterate, you may never know the impression you create for others, or 40 years later, maybe. Last but not least, since 2015, for over a decade, the current resident in the White House has been boiling the frog to change our perspective as to what we deem as normal. And he's done it. He gets away with almost everything more and more each day. Do not miss the forest for the trees. Most people are concerned about their own stuff, but the big picture is that we are losing our democracy. Can we trust anybody in the federal government? Can we trust the press? Look at how the pressure from the feds have impacted the CBS policies. Do we still have a democratic republic? They have successfully made the truth murky. If we, the people, do not believe in the Constitution, it is only worth the paper it is written on. If we lose our democracy, then we have nothing. The Republicans in Congress have ceded all their power to the executive branch, and even though many lower courts are holding, SCOTUS does not always seem to be. By the way, we need to write letters of support to Justices Elena Kagan, Sonia Sotomayor, and Ketanji Brown Jackson for putting up a good fight. Without our democracy, the authoritarian dictator can take away anybody's businesses or jobs, seize anybody's money, jail or disappear any of us. Nobody is safe. We cannot just look out for ourselves. Our individual rights, finances, and safety depend on all of us standing up for each other. Together we amass power.
Marci, you are an inspiration, and I know that you say, I'm just one person, but you are one person who does so much, and I am honored to have you as a friend and a community member. Thank you to Marci Adelston-Schafer, Executive Board Member of Indivisible Illinois, for your insight into the upcoming Good Trouble Lives On Teach, Reach, Preach Weekend of Action taking place July 17th through 20th. Marci, before I let you go, for more information and event updates, who do we follow? How do we find it on Facebook?
You can go to Champaign County Indivisible's Facebook page. You can go to Indivisible Illinois' Facebook page. And as I mentioned prior, you can also go to Champaign County Indivisible's website. And Champaign County Indivisible's website will have the updated information there.
I'm not going to rename all of the incredible organizations, but I am going to tag them. When this podcast is posted, we will tag everyone if you want to find out from the individual organization where to be and when, because we all need to show up. They'll all be tagged on Facebook. Marci Adelston-Schafer, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an honor.
Well, you rock, Elizabeth, as always. Thank you.